Welcome back to the Witch's Way podcast. I'm Kat.
And I'm Jamie, and tonight we are talking about the topic we promised you last time. We're talking about the matriarchy tonight, okay? We're trying to understand what matriarchal systems look like, what do they involve. So the first part of this podcast is going to be 6 points on what the matriarchy is, what it looked like before, what do we know about it, because it hasn't existed for probably about 8,000 years. So we're looking at something that is pretty ancient, but still exists in some cultures today, even though not to the degree that we probably all want it to, because there's still some man-led shit that just doesn't sit right with everybody. But there are a couple of cultures within the world today that do operate with what they consider a matriarchal system. We are not discussing those today. We just want you to know that it's not totally been 8,000 years, but it's been 8,000 years for the majority of the world since we had a matriarchy. And we want to find out what that means, because the matriarchy, number one, is not just the same system, but all women are in charge and men are just cucks sitting in the closet. Like, that's not it. So we're going to get into it. And Kat has put together a lovely podcast for us today.
Well, and the first question we're going to ask is, what happens to humanity when feminine wisdom, intuition, community care, emotional intelligence, and connection to nature are suppressed? Which is...
We're answering that question.
We're answering that question, yeah. So, what is a matriarchy? The matriarchy is not simply the opposite of the patriarchy.
Very important to remember this, because that's what a lot of people will try to say.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that women rule and men obey. Okay, so we're not asking them to be our little bitches and run around and do all of our things for us. That's not what this is about. So it's not just the patriarchy flipped. We have to get that out of our heads, where you can't just look at our society now and go, okay, replace all the men in power with women and we're going to heal everything. That's not the way it works. No. We're far from that, because again, 8,000 years of dealing with a system that has been building to the patriarchy that we have now, a patriarchal system. So in ancient matriarchal societies, these are the 6 points that we're really going to hit on tonight. This is the bulk of the podcast. So if you want to skip to one of these 6 points because you're more interested in that, you can, because that's what we're going to talk about. The very first one is that women held spiritual authority. You can probably see this when you think about like Greek mythology and stuff. There are points in there like the goddesses of Delphi. So like that was one of the ancient temples that lasted, where women ran that. So women held spiritual authority. They were the creators of life, and the world literally... Bless you.
Sorry, that was me suppressing a sneeze.
Usually there's 10 of them. We were already giggling our asses off before this, so...
Oh, God. Don't get me started.
So because women held spiritual authority in the matriarchal systems, they were the creators of life, and the world literally started and ended with them. Men at least knew enough that if there was going to be a continuation of their kind, women needed to be at the center of that. They're the ones that did all the things.
Second point, lineage passed through mothers. So no kids taking their father's last name, that didn't happen, or him having ownership over them, or even rights to the children.
That's right.
So that was a big thing. Women maintained, had the children, I guess, I don't want to say controlled the children, but were responsible for the children. That was all, almost like, and I don't know, but parenting wasn't shared.
So if a woman has children, the children stayed with her. So then when when her children have children, the way that this really played out is that the children still stayed at the great-grandmother's house. Like, this went on. All of the people stayed within the home of the mother. And the fathers, whoever they decided to be, whoever the women decided them to be, did not come and live at her house. That wasn't until much later. It was the uncles that would do.
Yeah, because remember that, long time ago, people didn't really understand how babies were made. So everybody was having sex with everybody, and it was like not a big deal. So they didn't actually know who the father was. That took some time to...
Because the child needed to grow up and then look like somebody. And then they could kind of be like, that's your kid. We know that's your kid.
Yeah.
So it was really in the care of the ideas behind what people thought and what people would possibly confirm. But because marriage wasn't a thing, closed union wasn't a thing, The children stayed with the mother's family raised them, so that included her brothers, her great uncles even. So that was where the men really played a role in the family, is that they would help raise the children in some sort of way, but that was not their main job. So we're going to get into that in point 2. We're trying to go over the 6 overviews, and we're already starting to explain stuff because we can't fucking help ourselves.
Point number 3, caregiving and community were central. Life was valued above everything, not wealth and power.
That's right.
So it was
life.
It was life, the caregiving,
and we're not talking about just survival, because survival means you're going back into a stage where you're like, I need to survive at all costs. It wasn't like that. It was that helping your family thrive and doing what you can for the family. That was more, it's, you know, the life, having the life of your child, you know, continue to be alive. That's really it. It's not like life, like you accumulated a lot of shit. That wasn't it. That wasn't the purpose. So wealth and power were not part of our problems. It was more like, have life, keep that life alive.
Also, in ancient matriarchal societies, women had social power and autonomy. Tribe leaders, independent of men.
Yeah. So they could participate in anything that was going on if they wanted to. Nothing was really deemed gender specific.
Here's a big one, and I think what we're trying to get back to today. Yes. Nature and fertility were sacred. Life above all else. Yep. So we really...
Yeah, so not just life like human life, but life of the land, life of the animals that were around us. Having a harmonious relationship with where we lived was essential. We lived with nature. We didn't try to control it.
And lastly, and very important, cooperation mattered more than domination, because that meant survival of the clan and the family.
Yeah.
So it was a very cooperative society.
People put their own desires aside for things that would be better for the clan. It didn't mean that they didn't still want stuff or they worked it out another way, but nobody was so fucking selfish that they would go and ruin everybody else's shit or steal or whatever. Like those things, they knew that because stuff needed to support life, being selfish was fucking dishonorable. I don't know if I had that word that. Yeah. Well, and I wondered, did people get sent away? Like, this is where our fear of being alone, not being accepted.
Yeah.
You don't have a tribe, you don't stay alive.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to go into the first point. Oh, sorry, I knocked the whole table in front of us. We're going to go into the first point, which is how women held spiritual authority, which is basically what we do in witchcraft. That's why we choose witchcraft, so that we have our own spiritual authority. That's what I think anyways.
Yeah, for sure.
So women were often priestesses, healers, diviners, the midwives, the keeper of the rituals. Okay, so we're going to get into a man's job in these type of societies, but women, because their focus was on the home, the children, the gardens, the herbs, the planting, and they stayed in that one place, they were the keeper of the rituals. It was like, no, we don't do it that way because that way doesn't fucking work, because I've been here for 40 years and I know how to grow this. I know when to plant it. I know when the sun this. I know what this moon means. They kept those rituals alive because they paid attention to that. And it's, of course, because physiology with us. But they were the guardians of oral tradition. So they were the ones telling the children the stories. They created the culture of the community. All of the stories you would have heard, or at least 95% of them, would have been from the women of the community who were living longer, because women did live longer. We were the interpreter of dreams and omens. So because we had lived so long, we had this natural ability to kind of intuit the things that were going to happen. I think that we've always had that. I think even 8,000 years ago, that was a strong suit of ours, where pattern recognition, we could kind of see things coming. We're like, oh, we've been through that before, because we were watchers over things, right? So every day we saw the way things were going. You would notice a change in the system. Caretakers of sacred spaces. Because women had spiritual authority, they made sure that the divine places, the sacred places, were not messed up. And they told people to uphold that.
The feminine was frequently viewed as deeply connected to creation, intuition, birth, death, the moon, the cycles of nature, and the unseen world. So
yes.
all of these things feel very like witchy, like all the things like all the things that we're like trying to come back to today and reconnect with, our intuition.
Yeah.
Of course, the cycles of the moon and the cycles of nature, the unseen world, things that we can't, the things that we're trying to be at that level where we're feeling much more spiritual in this earthly, plane.
Yeah. The unseen world for women was because men could not understand the things that happened with women's body to create the miracle of life. Obviously, back then there wasn't science, but there was witnessing and there was patterns that people could see. But it was like, wow, women could literally create a whole human inside of them. They also could bleed and not die. So there were things within our physiology that made us stand out to men of like, no, that's fucking, okay, so that has... Can any of you do it? No, only women. Okay, like we need to pay attention to that, honor that. That's some shit going on that we don't understand, so we're just going to let you guys hold that. That was the unseen world to them, Women would often, and I don't know if it's 8,000 years ago, but I know for a long time, women would actually go somewhere else while they were bleeding so that they could do it in a way that heal with herbs, feel natural. The older women took care of them. They talked to them. They explained to them, like, okay, this is what is happening now. Now your body is ready. You can create it any time. So there were these secret rights that women had within each other that the men didn't have any fucking part of. And that's why we're more of the unseen world, right? I imagine us going into caves with possible candles and all the women are there and you've got like your brew going and you're just trying to get through your first period when you're 12. Like, oh, God. So that's where the sacredness and sort of the secrecy also came in. And why the patriarchy doesn't like women to have power, because in their secrecy and they don't understand. They're like, we can't control what we don't understand. Okay. Not getting into that in this podcast.
Many early spiritual systems centered around goddesses associated with fertility, harvest, wisdom, protection, sexuality, the earth, and transformation. Mm-hmm. This is important because spiritual authority shapes cultural values.
Yes. Which is where we see such a big disconnect now with witches being scrutinized for trying to have autonomy, because truly witchcraft is just having autonomy over your own beliefs, and they get fucking pissed about it. Religion, men, societies that systems that want to control, they get so mad that we want to just do things on our own. Yeah. So if women were seen as spiritually powerful, then women themselves are viewed differently within society, right? So because we had authority to shape the culture of our communities, the stories that we told, the way that we raised the children, what we instilled in them, we gave them their moral ground and what was important. So they were raised to think like the values that we were talking about, with, just being in tune with nature is like the broadest way that I could say it. They were taught to be in tune with nature and to respect life and to honor life. Not to go out, hunt, kill, gather, use every resource, hoard it for yourself, power and domination. So
this contrasted a lot with later patriarchal systems where priesthood became male-dominated.
Yeah.
Women were excluded from sacred leadership. Female spirituality was often feared or controlled. And women's bodies became associated with sin, temptation, and impurity. And that's all religious dogma.
And there's so many movies that depict like people in power having a woman psychic of some kind, a seer, somebody that they consult with that was kept, that no man could touch her. And so, even in the movies and the stuff that we make today, you can see all of that playing out where women's power, our natural intuition, our ability to recognize patterns, to see signs, and to be wiser because we pay attention so much, is even in the films that we've been making for the last 60 years. They always have these women that are like, if you have sex with her, then she won't be able to see the future anymore. I remember seeing that in a film and I was like, wow, that was okay. That was like in Perseus or something. Yeah. Anyways, hilarious. Just that's what culturally we have the stories now. So imagine our own stories within things that affect culturally how we see the world and women in it and men in it. Yeah, it's crazy.
One of the biggest shifts in human history may have been the transfer of spiritual authority away from women.
I 1,000% agree. Kat and I have both read this book called The Alphabet versus the Goddess. And I'll tell you what, it is a very big, long book, well-researched, well-written, so informative. It is not a perspective piece. It is literally just based on the things that, he was a brain surgeon that actually wrote this book. Edward
Leonard Shlain.
Leonard Shlain.
Leonard Shlain.
You
It's a
guys.
fantastic book. The Alphabet
It's insane.
versus
The Alphabet
the
versus the
Goddess.
Goddess. Oh my God. Just, you will, it's so hard to put it down. It's like, it's just
It's available on audiobook too. So if you don't want to read a,
giant
I
book.
don't know, thick ass book.
It's 1,500 pages.
Yeah, I don't even know. It's at least 800.
Yeah.
It's like maybe it's Stephen King.
Well, because he has pictures in there too with like the artwork and things.
But it's really, really good in explaining how reading or how the alphabet, like words and letters and things, changed everything for the world, and how that impacted women in particular. And all the women who had been revered and honored as goddesses, and it totally
all the female deities basically were overwritten.
It's a really good book.
When oral traditions stopped being relevant because the written language was being developed, that was when women started to fall from being in spiritual power, being in control, having a place. That was when it happened, was with the written word, which is just really insane because I like being super educated, and that includes reading and writing. And I've always thought of that as something that's amazing. But now I can see how it could be used against you if you're not taught to read and write. And the only thing that is out there is the stories of people that put in books that then you say you trust. I realize how fucking wrong that can be, because guess what? The Bible is a book that people trust that they fall into. And I was like, that's a total lie. So the fact that you can believe just the words written down by anybody, and it's like, well, it's in a book, so it has to be accurate.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they had the word fiction back then. Maybe tall tales, like every time you say the fish you caught, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But that's when we went from oral traditions to written traditions, women lost their place in society, and we became less than.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of the ways that we lost spiritual authority is, we got away from oral traditions. That's a huge part of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we wanted to make, in here, we're going to have several little point outs where we want to make the modern witchcraft connection, because again, I know this is a witchcraft. We're a whole witchcraft business, page, mentorship, whatever you want to call it. But this does connect to modern witchcraft, because modern witchcraft often feels empowering because it reconnects women directly with spirituality without needing permission or hierarchy or male intermediaries. You don't even need female intermediaries. You don't need us. But most women feel comfortable asking women questions because you don't usually think you're going to be like manipulated and lied to, and we're trying to get in your pants. It's just like, hey, sister, here's how this works. That's how I feel. But I've definitely seen women out there that I was like, I wouldn't trust her. That's okay. I don't need to follow that. Choose your sources and know that you can just like do everything all by yourself. That's where this modern witchcraft thing comes in. You get to just be your own community of one if you want to, and believe whatever you want.
We want community.
I want community so bad. I want to hang out with all my witches.
That's part of the whole.
It's to reconnect.
That's part of what we're trying to build and what is important to us. And I think what is important to a lot of people that come into witchcraft, they're like looking for something that they don't even know. This, like, I feel like it's this ancient calling.
It's the idea of a covenant, all the women being together and working together for a thing, and like supporting each other and not being fucking turned down. When you think about what a coven is, it's all these women supporting each other.
We have a witches circle now once a month. We started this year. And just like there's probably 10 or 12 of us, maybe most is 12, but we get together once a month, and it's turning into something. I can feel it like evolving into this thing, because we're on, I think this is month 5. This will be fifth meetup. This will be the fifth time that we meet this month.
Yeah,
little gathering. We get together. We may or may not do something like as in an activity, but to see everybody come together, and then the conversations that take place is like, this is the world I want to live in.
Yeah,
this is what I want to build.
Women not competing with each other, women loving each other, women lifting each other up,
helping each other,
giving resources.
Yeah,
hey,
just like,
you need this thing, I have people, like, just anything. It's when we come together, I think that's when we start healing ourselves, finding the root of our own issues, because I think that there is a lot of female on female hate, and we're pitted against each other for so much of our life, and like the mean girls thing in high school, and everybody just expects it, and you're like, why do we have to expect that? Why do we have to expect the awfulness? Why can't we just all agree that we're on the same team? Like, what are we fighting over? What resource are we fighting for that we need to hate each other? Men? We don't. I think we're about over that. I think that's what this whole the generations are learning. Like, the resource that women think that they were like competing for, fighting over. Oh, you want the high school football guy?
I just want to say, fighting over men. We're not men haters, but
no, I have a husband and a son.
No, because I have sons. My daughters have sons. I have a son.
It's not about hating a system that puts us all against each other.
Yeah, it's more the system that is in place that gives men dominance and authority over us, which fuck that.
Or the feeling like they have fucking a right to us.
And they're right, the entitlement. So many of them feel toward women, that they're entitled to our time, our attention, our bodies, everything, our labor, everything. So that was number one. That was how women held spiritual authority. So we're on to number two, which is lineage passed through mothers.
Right, which right now lineage passes through fathers. It's not that you can't trace your matriarchal line, but we know that everything passes through fathers because when children are born, they get their father's last name.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So I will say that I know a lot of Hispanic women who have like hyphenated names. It's both mother and father, and I just fucking love that. At first I was like, you have 6 names, and she was like, yep, grandmother, mother, father, like, and then her 3 other names, and I was like, damn. I mean, there's a lot to that. When you have the multi-level names verifying your ancestors, you have lineage. I mean, I think of so many people in the world, they're like, I don't know who the fuck my family was. I don't know where I came from. I don't have anything. How lonely that feels to not know your past. I think as we get older, we all want to know our past. We want to know where we came from. We want to understand ourselves better,
I feel really fortunate that my mother was into genealogy for like 20 years or something, and spent all this time researching, and gave us all thick ass fucking 3-ring binders with all this information about our ancestors going back to the 1600s. It's like, it's fascinating to look at them, looking through for names and stuff like that.
And while Grandma Nancy did a great job with that, she was not she was not present for a single day of my fucking life. So she gave something, but she could have given a grandmother's love, right? She could have given my mom more love. Her story's been told this year in the podcast. So I'm grateful, but I have not really opened that book and looked at anything. I know that's probably bad. She worked hard on it. I love knowing that it's there.
You have it when you're ready to look at it. At some point in time, you might be.
Yeah.
And I can certainly understand how, the feeling of like what you missed out on by not having.
Our family was 4 people. Me, you, John, Jolene. That was it. That was our whole fucking family.
I was a black sheep. So yeah, that's what happens when you're a black sheep. You get kicked out of the tribe, and then nobody will speak to you or invite you for Christmas or anything like that. So yeah.
And the kids also reap the benefits of that black sheep label.
But guess what? It made them all resilient. So
we're a family of alphas. You want to kick us out of the tribe? We'll just all be fucking alphas. That's fine.
All right. So lineage passed through the mothers. In a matriarchal society, family identity, inheritance, and ancestry pass through the mother's line rather than the father. This creates more stable family networks, stronger bonds between women, and communal child rearing, which is
what we all fucking want.
Which is what we need. It takes a village, right?
We've been talking about it takes a village
since Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton's presidency in the early 90s. That was her thing, wasn't it? It takes a village.
I don't know.
It was Hillary Clinton. Yeah.
I thought you meant in our family, because we've said that a lot. It takes a village.
No, that was a thing that I believe Hillary Clinton talked about when her husband was president, about it taking a village to raise these children. Unfortunately, like so many other things, that didn't catch on.
Unfortunately.
And here we are today.
Because women aren't in charge.
Yeah. That's what. Okay. So
what does it create when we have lineage that passes through mothers, okay? You already said more stable family networks. Why? Why are there more stable family networks? Because the women are the ones who do the nurturing. They give the cultural morals. They give the standards for how you act, behave, your jobs, what you do, what's allowed. They set up the structure of the society. So that's why it's more stable, because you're not getting mixed messages. Nobody's domineering over you. I bet child abuse was not fucking allowed back then. I bet women never allowed a man to hit their children. That guy would be beheaded probably. I don't know. But women, our fierceness over our children is literally second to none. And I think that's throughout the animal kingdom.
It is.
So because children stayed with the women, better family networks, like,
Yeah, and then you also, because you didn't just have the mother and the child, you also had grandma and potentially great grandma and aunts. So you had
all the wisdom, all the caregivers,
all of these nurturing souls around, raising up that next generation and imparting all their wisdom and their care and like you said, the morals and just like this is how this society works. This is what we do. This is what's right. We didn't need a fucking priest or preacher telling us.
We didn't need an intermediary to get in the middle of what a family needs and the bonds between us. So next, there's no obsession with controlling women's sexuality. Love this. There's so much slut shaming, body shaming, all the bullshit that goes on in today that we would not have had back then. Women were allowed to be out there as much as they wanted to, knowing what they had to deal with if they did stuff. They could fall in love with whoever they wanted to. There was no arranged marriage shits. Like, you're not forced to be with a guy who's 40 years older than you when you're 12. That just didn't happen. So there was less emphasis on women or children as a property of some kind, to be controlled, to be an asset. That wasn't a thing.
Children belonged to their mother's clan, and the maternal uncle, the mother's brother, often held a crucial role in providing for the children and holding leadership roles rather than the father.
Yeah, the father was in his clan or his home with his mother and taking care of his sister's kids. Whereas the uncles who came from that same mother, who was more or less in charge, right? So she kept the household together. She assigned the roles and kind of said, like, this is how we need to work together. Think about how less aggressive, I know we're going to talk about this later. Yeah, this is coming up, but how less aggressive of a raising an uncle would normally be on a young male child than a father who is like, I need him to stand for everything I stand for. That's a reflection of me. Like, I've seen that whole thing. Even though now I feel like, I don't know, uncles are rapey, but that's not true. I mean, I don't really think
know that somewhere along the line, the whole
incestual bullshit, fucking prey on your young nieces and nephews.
But a long time before that, it was more, protective. And then the mothers and all of the
women were all there.
The women were all there too.
They were solid.
They weren't going off to work or nobody was leaving the kids with a babysitter uncle that then did
in the garage with the big chair with the candy bowl next to him. Nobody did that. So yeah, I was hitting on this point because I know that we wrote it, but think of the difference between an uncle's love and a father's love back then, because I can't think of that now. I don't trust men in general with children. I wouldn't trust a fucking uncle, the father friend, nobody. But back then, an uncle was the protector of his sister's children. That was his role he took on. He was like, this is my family. This is my sister's children. Like, this is my blood. He knows that he was raised in this household. He was raised by these women. He was raised with his sister. There's going to be a lot more love, dedication, and like belonging rather than a guy who possibly sleeps with a girl, 9 months later they have a kid, possibly in this 8,000 years ago society, and then he's like, how much loyalty do I have to this? Like, okay, well, what do I want this kid to be? There's not as much love there because it's foreign. If you think about it in the lineage of, like, you've always been raised in the house with these people, you have a lot of love for them versus an outsider who comes in and is like, I mean, sex was good, but like, I don't, now we got this kid. There wasn't that, I don't believe that there's that passion with men if you don't have a long-standing relationship with them and then it's like they care for the child. That is very presumptuous, and I understand I'm being really harsh on a father's relation to his child because I'm not a father, I'm a mother, and I know what the fuck I would do for my child. I would kill people. I'm guessing guys would too, but I recently just read that a man fucking murdered his wife and 2 children. One was 4, one was 8. That's what a man did to his wife and children. So
That's
I don't
because
know.
of control.
I know.
I mean,
Yeah.
that all boils down to control. So
I know. We've seen it. It's in the news. I'm not saying mothers have not taken out their children from men. I know that.
Yeah.
But that is less often. And it is when women are put in situations where men are like, I don't want your kids. I want you, but I don't want your kids. And then women feel like they have
that
no
is
choice.
true. That
Right?
just made me think of Susan Smith, who drowned her 2 kids.
In the van or a car
in
or
the
whatever.
car, yeah,
Oh,
she drove
Jesus,
them in.
fuck.
Yeah, because some guy didn't want her kids.
Yeah.
So
no,
yeah.
I know. Yeah. So this is why I never wanted a stepdad for my father. I didn't want him around men. I didn't want him with his own fucking dad. Like, I just wanted to keep my child safe. And I think that that's where most women operate from. We operate from that place. And that's why being raised in a matriarchal house, yes, like you feel safe with women being around your children. Yeah. Okay, moving on. Because again, this brings up a lot of feelings, you guys. Researching this shit brings up feelings. So if you're listening to this and you're having feelings, good. It's getting something stirring. It's getting you thinking. It's acknowledging that the system is fucked up, like that things could be better, that we do need to band together and do stuff. So in contrast with patriarchal systems, controlling women became essential because land, wealth, titles, power needed to be passed to the legitimate male heir. When this all became like a male-dominated thing, they wanted to know that another man was going to protect the things that they fought for their whole life. So they raised that boy to be the protector, not with love, not with kindness, not with morality, but to do whatever the fuck he needed to do to protect land, titles, money, whatever was stored. Oh shit! See this? My microphone's been acting up today, you guys. Now I just hit it. So this created intense pressure because of the patriarchal systems trying to control women and that becoming essential. It created pressure around virginity. Oh, you needed to know that she hasn't slept with any other men, right? It needs to be your child. You need to know for sure. And they didn't know for sure back then. You couldn't know for sure back then. There wasn't paternity tests. When did paternity tests come out? Like the 80s, 90s?
I don't know.
Yeah. So paternity test is a rather new thing, but yeah, men didn't know for sure that that was their children. Oh my gosh, I just got flashbacks of like Jerry Springer and Steve Wilkos that Jolene used to have me watch. Of like, oh, the drama. Yeah, okay. 90. Those are old shows about that ain't my baby. That woman's a slut. Like, I don't know. Anyways, old shows that literally were all about that, like finding out whose baby it is. Anyways, it put pressure on virginity, on marriage, on obedience, right? This is where the man was like, you're going to do what I say because you have my child and I own that child now, and so now I own you.
Yeah, now I own you.
Now I own you.
Yeah.
So that led to reproductive control, which we're all aware of what's going on with that bullshit. On to you for the
Okay.
talking
When lineage
point.
passes through women, women become the foundation of society rather than possessions within it.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a modern connection. Many women today are searching for a deeper sense of rootedness. They are rediscovering ancestral practices, exploring maternal lineage healing, and grandmother wisdom traditions,
Yeah.
which I just love because I just totally feel like I'm in that. I'm in my grandmother phase, you guys. I really am, and I love it. Like I'm here for I'm the matriarch of my family.
You are. Look at you.
And that's like so cool. I'm like,
It
wow,
is.
I made that. I feel honored to be here.
And I think what's even more interesting is that I have a husband and I have a child, and my husband has family, and I help with his mother. So his mother is involved. His mother is in our life and has been, and his parents were in our life. But the majority of the things that we do, me and my husband, it centers around my family, around my mother and what is going on. I didn't realize that till this very fucking moment that we're living in our matriarchal system right now in our family, because John and Lisa come to you. I mean, Jolene and the boys.
Well, I just put out an invite for everybody for the 17th of May to celebrate
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day and other birthdays, May birthdays, and I'm going to cook for everyone and have them come here.
Yeah.
Now I get to decide what I'm going to cook. I'm like,
Yeah.
what am I going to cook?
But we get to change that because she's our matriarch, and it's like, yeah, whatever you want, Mom. None of us are ready for this Sunday to be Mother's Day at all. We're like, it's already happening. That was fast. And there's 5 weekends in May, so damn. But changing it to the 17th, it was like, she can do that, and nobody's going, oh, that's not the day. We can't do it that day. We're going to be late. Blah, blah. Everybody's like, yep, cool. We'll be there. Let us know what we can bring. Yeah. That's awesome. Look at you.
I
You're
know.
fucking fulfilling this already.
I know. I love it. All right.
Third point.
Third point.
Caregiving
and community were central in matriarchal societies. Many matrifocal.
Yeah, we should have taken that word out.
We should have taken that one out.
Yeah.
Okay.
The matriarchal cultures emphasize collective well-being over individual dominance.
Yeah.
And we had the poison potions to prove it if people wanted to fuck with us. Just kidding. But that is true.
Survival depended on cooperation, caregiving, food sharing, elder wisdom, child rearing support, and community interdependence.
Yeah.
The well-being of the group mattered more than competition between individuals.
And I fucking love that so much. I've been searching for a community, a system, a country that operates like that. When I joined the military, I was looking for something that upheld a different value where we're all equals. We all work together. The work is evenly distributed. I know, I'm naive. That wasn't it at all. The military was not that.
I think this is why women today are like, I just want to live on a farm with a bunch of women and have like a commune or a coven. And
I fucking want to.
And, that's, we're feeling this like pull back to this ancient time where things were like this. We cared more about the group and the group doing well.
Yes, the group doing well.
Everyone thriving instead of just one person who has all the power and has all the money and has all the resources and everybody else is a fucking slave. Yeah. Speaking of slave, women's labor was not viewed as less valuable simply because it involved nurturing, healing, raising children, emotional support, storytelling, or maintaining the home and community, which is how we live today. Who are the least paid people in the fucking world is women who, childcare workers, nurses, teachers. Nurses do okay, but
getting there and the shit they got to deal with from the male counterparts.
Yeah, exactly. But definitely like teachers, daycare workers, even people who take care of old folks.
How stay-at-home moms don't get any fucking credit for all the work that it takes to be a stay-at-home mom?
Yeah.
Like, I never wanted that job because I knew, I was like, I do not want to do laundry and clean shit all day long. That sounds horrific. I'd rather be out, like, solving problems and doing stuff independently. Yeah. Which is why, originally, guys, I never wanted kids. I've told Cameron this a lot. It's not meant to hurt his feelings. It's just that I didn't want somebody depending on me. I wanted to be as carefree as possible. So I was never going to get married and never going to have kids. Obviously, the universe and my higher self was like, that's cute. We're going to not listen to your wants.
The role of the nurturer, healer, the child rearing, those roles were often considered sacred because they sustained life itself.
If we're all about the survival of life, the most important jobs in the community are to take care of the youngins that are the next generation that come up. That is the life of the community. So being at the center of the home, making sure things go well, caring for the women who are sick, caring for the children who are sick, when men are sick, all those are so fucking, that is the goal, to live, to make sure everybody stays alive.
And you know what? The village would have failed without that.
Absolutely. It can't just live off aggression and dominance and fighting? No. That's like, I wish I could remember the rat statistic where they put female rats in a thing and like it's just female rats and they gave them like food and everything was normal and they just fucking survived forever. Like the experiment ended because the rats never did anything abnormal. The female rats just all got along and fucking ate together and slept together. They shared.
They took care of each other.
So the male rats, now I cannot be quoted on this story, but Cameron and I just talked about this. Male rats, within like 60 days or something, they started literally eating each other, biting at shit, like just total chaos and destruction. Even though they had food, they had places to sleep, they had all the shit that they needed, and still anarchy happened. Like the aggression, the biting, the eating of other mice, like just really fucking weird shit. But they did that in rats.
Well,
right?
Can
I submit that as evidence to our government to say that we need a change?
Modern capitalist and patriarchal systems often undervalue caregiving because caregiving doesn't always generate wealth.
That's right.
Cannot always be monetized. Mm-hmm. And prioritizes people over productivity.
And I will say... Maslow's dogs?
No, Maslow, the guy who came up with the whole productivity.
Maslow. No, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You're thinking of the wrong guy.
Who's the guy that did?
Taylor is
Taylor. He's the one that, like...
Yeah, he created the industrial, the line.
The productivity, the assembly line.
The assembly line. And it has really... And that is not even that old. You know, that's only like 100 some years ago.
I know. Yeah.
And he really supposedly revolutionized the way that we work. But what he got rid of is every single artisan, anybody making things with their hands. He created the machines that... And then he also broke it down to where each person only had one job. This was in my training with David. Like, this is stuff that was written about in our book. Is that he literally took the humanity out of the job and made it to where you didn't have to think. They wanted less thinkers. Consider this, you guys. We literally built schools so there were less fucking independent thinkers and more followers. The school system, the education system was literally built around making more factory workers.
So this is prioritizing productivity over people. That's what I was getting at.
Absolutely.
The modern world often treats caregivers as caregiving as a weakness, but ancient societies understood caregiving as survival.
This is this is a good spot to bring up the whole, like, remember I talked to you, about this like last week. It was not, people are not pro-life, they're pro-birth.
Yes.
This is a new thing. I've just heard about this now, thanks to social media and all of my patriarchy researching. New shit pops into my purview, because normally, you know, I just don't go searching for bad shit. I already don't necessarily like everything that's going on. But I learned the difference between somebody who is pro-life. So pro-life is like, they don't want you to get abortions, right? That's what I thought. That's the simple form of it. Pro-life is like no abortions. And pro-choice is like do what you want with your body, and if you know, all of the other things that go along with that, whether it's abortion rights and contraceptives and whatever, but you have freedom to choose with your body. So a pro-choice person was explaining to a pro-life person that if you don't have things set up for that child to actually thrive, like food, housing, schooling, and education, like what are they doing with the rest of their life? You're not pro-life, you're just pro-birth. You just want that child born, and then you don't fucking care what kind of system they're born into, what they have to do with their life, what their parents go through, the job that it's in,
and
the
that's
whole
where
thing.
we are today.
Yeah. So I never had to consider the difference between a pro-life person and pro-choice and pro-birth. I was like, whoa, this is new. Because we're really getting down to the nitty-gritty, aren't we? To understand what people are actually valuing. You can sit there and say that you value life, and that's why you're pro-life and you don't think women should get abortions, but you don't value life if you're not leaving that child in a good place. Is it going to end up in foster care, get abused, be molested? Like, you're not even fucking caring what happens to that child after they're born.
Hungry.
Yeah.
Living in poverty.
Yeah.
Squalor.
So I just learned that new thing if you hadn't heard of it. So now we've got pro-choice, pro-life, and pro-birth, which is super fucking interesting. It just separates it. It brings down the category, because I think we're all pro-life. We want things to live, right? I want things to live. I fucking hate seeing anything really die and expire or get hurt. Like, I don't like that at all. But I don't think that women should be forced to have children that they don't want to have, you know, no matter the circumstances. So just something I read, and that sparked that. I know I talked about that last week. Sorry, I got off track.
That's okay. I'm going to circle back to,
yes,
you know, ancient societies understood caregiving as survival. This also connects beautifully to witchcraft, because many modern witches are reclaiming communal rituals, witches circles,
which is what we have this year.
Mutual support,
yes,
healing spaces, and emotional care as sacred acts.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in the witch community, even for people that I don't know, and just the groups that I'm in, it's always women trying to help other women solve a problem.
I think so.
Yeah, like get advice. Like, what can I do about this? Like, where can I get help for this? And it's just this community of women who don't know each other and are like, here's research. I see this all the time in social media when I'm reading, because I'm following certain types of content. I'm always seeing people like, somebody just posted, I just lost my job, I lost my house, I'm losing this, and all these women are coming through with like, did you try this? Can you call here?
Yeah.
You know, check your community for that.
Fuck yeah.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many times I've had stuff I want to donate to a women's shelter and just can't find one. I'm like, I know there's a need for things.
I have a bunch of stuff too right now. It's one of the things I'm going to do this month when I take time off.
Like figure out where to
I'm going to find, because I've got like all these clothes, I've got some food,
furniture.
I know there's people out there that need it. I just got to find a place to take it.
And I feel like if our system was set up for women's success, especially coming out of abusive relationships, which is something that I just see all the time, we would have these places. I have a bunch of shit in my house I would give to somebody who was just starting out and getting out of an abusive relationship. And it makes me think of that show, The Maid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, The Maid.
The Maid with
I really liked that.
Margaret Qualley.
Yeah, I really liked that compound thing that she went into where it was very secret, but they had everything there, and they had like a store that had pretend price tags on it, and but everything was free.
Yeah.
Where's that? Because I want to give to that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Anyways. Our fourth point of the night. Women had social power and autonomy. My biggest thing is like autonomy. Social power, that just means that you could speak in rooms and nobody would ever hush you. You didn't feel small speaking up. You didn't stutter, you didn't quiet yourself, you didn't make yourself small. They had social power. They were allowed to be in spaces no matter what. I mean, if we ran the communities, that was sort of our central point. It might have been weirder to have a man in the group. Like, oh, you're not tending to the cattle? Okay, I guess you can talk to. No, I'm just kidding. See, that's what we did. We didn't have that shit back then. I have that now because I've just seen enough of it. So we would have to eventually, all of us women who want to be progressive, we would eventually have to tolerate men in a way that they're equals, and that might be tough for our generation. So if women had social power and autonomy, this was goddess-centered, earth-centered, nature-centered women, okay? And they could own their own property, inherit land, so no matter what, it could have come from their mother, their grandmother, it could have come from their brother. If there was land to be inherited, a woman could inherit it with no fucking questions asked. They were allowed to choose their own partners. There wasn't any of this fucking arranged marriage shit where it benefits some kind of power scheme to marry somebody from this tribe, that tribe, wherever, that house. There was none of that. They could also initiate divorce for whatever reason they wanted to. It's not working out, don't want to be with them, we haven't had children, don't want to do it, I'm done. They could lead ceremonies. Of course, we were like at the center of all of the sacred rites. Influence political decisions. So maybe if there was a vote on whether or not we wanted to attack the next community, the women looked at it and they were like, no, why are we disrupting this? We don't really need to fight them. We don't need that. We're going to be okay. Then participate openly in society. Now, all I think that is like we could walk through town without being like, damn, girl, you look good. Like, just dumb shit like that. I don't think that happened back then. So we could participate openly in society and not be like stalked, looked at, harassed, grabbed, raped. Like, that shit just hopefully didn't happen because there's no record if it did or not.
This is so radically different from the many patriarchal systems throughout history where women could not own property, could not vote, could not control their finances, could not inherit equally, or legally belong to their fathers or husbands.
Yeah, they belonged. They were property.
They were property.
They belonged, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A woman who belongs to herself has historically been viewed as threatening. So by historically, I mean within the last 6,000 years for sure. It's threatening that we want to be autonomous. The reason that witchcraft resonates with so many modern women is it symbolizes personal sovereignty. And sovereignty is a word that I've had to get used to over time because it was associated with religion to me for such a long time, that word, sovereignty.
I think of sovereignty when I think of the Queen, the England.
I know you do.
I think of kings and queens.
That's because she knows all about
because I love the stories. The crazy thing is I love the stories of all the kings and queens, and I love those period dramas. And then when I'm watching it, I'm thinking, why do I like this so much? When women had no fucking rights, they had to marry whoever they said. They couldn't go out alone. There was all these restrictions around them. I don't know why it fascinates me so much.
But I think the shows they do now is examples of women breaking outside of the rules and doing little things that are like, you can't fucking control me. Like in public, they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm definitely just a normal good woman doing nothing wrong, and then in secret they're making out with somebody or doing other bad things. That's why the dramas on TV are good, because they're not living in that society. It's pretend on the surface, and then there's all this drama.
Gilded Age is one of my favorite.
I haven't seen it.
I love that show, and you're right. The women are getting jiggy with it, with that.
They're doing their own fucking thing in private, and then they're just pretending to be these good girls in public, yeah. And my mom the whole time, she likes the tea, of course, she's a Scorpio, so she's like, you don't even know what she's doing, she's over there, So it's watching a soap opera from that time, for sure. All right, the fifth point. Me?
Yes, go for it.
Nature and fertility were sacred, and I respect the nature was sacred. I think that the way that I was raised in my culture, fertility was not sacred to me. It was actually avoided. It was not something that was... And fertility, I mean women having babies and sex. that I've had to learn that, you guys. Now, I was born in 1981, so I grew up with the whole, like, just don't get fucking pregnant. And I had to learn to, like, love my body going through its phases. And I know now that I'm, like, hitting menopause, I'm actually trying to appreciate it even more, even though it's way worse than it was when I was in my 20s. I should have loved it when it was easy. I didn't. I thought it was gross, disgusting. I hated it. It was embarrassing. Hide it. Don't ask men to buy tampons. All this bullshit. And I'm like, that was wrong. That was so wrong. Why? I should have smeared blood on the mirror when I was on my cycle or something and just been like, boom, bitch, this is what's happening this month. I would go about it a lot different knowing what I know now. But that's why we need women who have been through that shit to coach the younger women so that when they're feeling these ways, we're like, no, honey. No. Do not let him make you feel bad about your period. Fuck that. That is life-giving. Where we'll get into it, like creativity and fertility are mixed. So now when we think of fertility, we also think of the creative mind. There's more psychology involved in that. So with many ancient societies, didn't read that right. Hold on. Many ancient societies viewed humans as living with nature, not separate from it. Which is why I always loved the Native American culture growing up. I was like, they knew what they were doing. Like, they lived in harmony with nature. They traveled with the seasons. They moved according to the clouds. Like, all of that. I had to be Native American in at least one lifetime, I hope, because I have the reverence for the whole culture so deep in my blood.
What I love about it is that the reverence. They actually respected the land and tried to take care of it. Yeah. And when they had to kill animals to eat, it wasn't indiscriminate killing.
And it wasn't overconsumption, and it wasn't for greed, and it wasn't like I'm only wanting this part of the animal. Yeah. Like, it was everything.
It wasn't for tusks and souvenirs and shit. Oh,
jeez, yeah. Seeing the
or a photo opportunity with you with a big game, with your gun and Jesus,
and to put the head on your wall. Yeah, I will say I haven't talked much about the trip to Spain, but I will say when we went to the palace in Madrid, they have these rooms of gifts from places, and so they have a whole line of ivory. Silverware, and they say it was really interesting because the tour guide, he goes, this is part of the heritage, but are we proud of it? No. Can we leave it out for people? No. You'll notice in this set, 2 of the spoons are already stolen. Yeah, that happened in like the 40s. So he was saying that even though it's forbidden and bad and everybody knows it's wrong, the first opportunity people get, they will fucking steal it. I'm like, dang, that's so wrong. It's still seen as like something that you should grab for rather than be like, I'm so glad we moved past killing elephants just for their tusks or something. Yeah. So again, power, greed, overconsumption, like just the what is that? What is the overconsumption of our resources that we don't truly fucking need? In Florida,
we talked about this last week. It's part of this patriarchal thing where there's men want to dominate.
They want to
control.
True. Yes.
They want they want to hoard and dominate and control.
And that's power.
And
to
it's
them.
not every single man, but it's
it's
mostly
not every man, but it's men.
But it's always men. There's almost always men.
There's
Yeah, so
I think about how many houses we have in Florida because they're building here all the time, and now our quiet little towns are being built on and expanded, and they're ripping out forests and trees and just. I'm beside myself. I cry usually when I see something getting developed that used to be amazing pine trees.
Yeah, because like the animals have nowhere to go.
The animals have nowhere to go. Then you see them all hit on the road. I remember when they were building that place down off Jacaranda. And Judy has told me stories about how she used to have foxes that came to her window when she lived in Plantation before they built out to going towards Sumter or whatever. But I remember when they opened that place up, and damn it, I'm going to cry. There were like 5 bobcats hit within 2 weeks because they just took out the forest and they had nowhere to go, so they ended up in fucking traffic. And I was like, that is what you guys just did. You took homes from 5 fucking bobcats that had been living here, and they only live like 4 to 6 years anyways. It's not like they have a super fucking long life, but there's no consideration.
But they were generations of them. They had been here for a long time, and that had been their home, and you just
every time they build, you'll see just a massacre on the road of animals who don't know where the fuck to go, and they end up trying to cross to get somewhere else, and then they just get hit by cars because that's the first time they had to cross a busy road, and it's like, oh God, it destroys me. I hate it so much. Anyway, I have 13 acres behind my house where bobcats live, and I get to see them, and I love that. And I hope that they never build on it. They just did a petition to keep it farmland now. They couldn't. They're turning it agricultural, and they put 5 cows. They literally cleared an area just so they could have 5 cows to keep it agricultural so nobody could build on it. Anyway.
Okay.
Shit like that pisses me off. So, nature and fertility were sacred was what we were getting into. And I'm like 2 days from my period, so I'm allowed to cry.
All right.
Yeah.
The earth was seen as alive, conscious, nurturing, cyclical, and feminine.
Feminine. The earth was feminine because it provided life, right?
Yeah.
Things grew in it. Men weren't growing shit.
Fertility was not just childbirth, it represented abundance, creativity, harvest, transformation, sexuality, life force energy, and renewal.
I think about this when it comes to our witches' holidays, because we do celebrate what's alive and then also what is dying. Like, that's the cycle that's why I've always been drawn to that system.
It's the cycle. It's the cycle of the earth.
Yeah.
You know,
which we see is in the cycle of life. Within people,
and that's
within
our
all
next
the things.
point. Women's cycles are often linked to symbolically to lunar cycles, seasons, tides, planting, and harvest rhythms. So the rhythms of the earth, the rhythm of the moon, the rhythm of the world.
It's more visible in us. Sometimes I feel a little bad for men because they're just kind of these outcasts that don't really have a purpose, like male bees, where you're like, well, you're born and we need you to procreate, but then you don't really have a purpose after that. Not that I truly feel that way, because obviously, like I said, I have a husband who I love, I have a son, they have purpose, they're going to have purpose, they're humans. But in the cycle of things, you see all of these things that are linked to creation happening in women's bodies. I think that's why we should be in charge, and we're so different because we don't fucking think like a hard pillar. We think like the softer that things get created in, you know?
In patriarchal systems, nature increasingly became something to dominate, tame, control, exploit, and profit from.
Can we just talk fucking gas prices for a second? My God.
Can we talk about like all the things that are trying to be stripped away from us, like the watershed that they're giving, the watershed up in, you know, near the Canadian border, where they're like, we're going to let you mine here. So, and this is men is like, I want the money from the resources, so we're going to go and strip out and destroy the fucking land. And to what end? Like, they don't even think about like 100 years from now, what's going to fucking be here for people. It just makes me so fucking angry. That whole mindset of just like the right now and just strip everything bare, and then what we're going to have to, I mean, it's like no thought or care for future generations or the future of the world, the planet, sustainability, anything. It's just, let me just rape the land right now and take everything I want and make as much money as I can and go, what? You're not taking that shit with you when you're dead.
I know, right? For what? You want a yacht?
Yeah. The same thing happened with women's bodies. This is why ecofeminism, the belief that you cannot truly solve environmental problems without also tackling social issues like gender equality and sexism and witchcraft, frequently overlap.
Yep.
Both recognize connections between the exploitation of nature, the suppression of women, and the disconnection from natural cycles.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I was gonna say
this is huge.
This is the one for me.
This is it. I mean, this right here is, I think, what draws women in particular to witchcraft, is because we want to go back to this time where, you know, we could get more people to see and care about, you know, about the future, about future generations, about the world, about the planet, about nature, about how our children are raised, what they're taught.
I heard this.
How they're taken care of.
I heard.
Sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent.
No. You're good. I want to support what you're thinking, because when I was a defense contractor, I would hear things like, "Well, you weren't using it anyways, so why did you care that we, you know, whatever, destroyed it, blew it up, took over this thing, pillaged this place?
What
like, well, you weren't, you weren't using it anyway." So I remember relating that to when women say no. Like, our vagina is not currently being occupied, and do men really think like, well, you weren't using it, I might as well use it, it's there for me, this is what's natural, or we're made for this is biology. Motherfucker, my biology might be to murder men. Maybe I'll become like a mass man murderer, you know? So when they talk about biology, no, I won't, because I can't, I'm not, no. But
But it makes you
Could've
angry.
been another life.
It makes you angry enough that you fantasize about it sometimes, I bet.
It's enough to just say it where they say the most ridiculous shit, so then I'm going to say the most ridiculous shit.
Right.
Well, maybe I just go around killing men every time they hoot, holler, whistle, do something like where they make a hungry sound at me. They fucking groan at you when you walk
Or
by.
touch you.
Don't ever.
Or touch you, or get close to you, or breathe down your neck, or like come up on you and just act like they have a right to be in your space and in your face.
Or because they compliment you, you owe them time.
Oh, God.
If you give me a compliment and I'm just trying to be polite and say thank you, that does not mean I want to start a fucking conversation. I didn't want your compliment anyways. Like, then they get mad.
Just leave us the
Don't
fuck
be
alone.
ungrateful.
Just leave us the fuck alone, please.
So that's the exploitation part of it, where they see something, for some reason, they're like, well, that's not being used. That's not taken. That's not occupied. I can go put myself in that thing and like I can occupy it then. I have that right, don't I? I'm a man. This is what man
control, domination.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's a tough one to break from. It's a tough one to understand how the fuck they got that way. It's a tough one to just...
Well, and here's the thing where it's tied together to how women are being treated, right?
Yeah.
When society stopped viewing nature as sacred, it often stopped viewing women as sacred too.
For sure. We weren't allowed in rooms, so they didn't have to see the look on our face when we were appalled by what they were fucking doing. I truly think of that when you see the little men's circles, and I don't know, watching Titanic was, when I was younger, was just, I don't know why, because the villain is so fucking good. That guy, Zane, whatever his name is, he's such a good villain. And I remember just like the audacity of the member, they're like, they're gonna go to the smoking corner, and women aren't allowed in there. And they're like, this is too complicated for you. And we're like, oh, okay, we only make your children continue your line, do all the things. And like, yeah, but no, this is too complicated for us. We don't understand. I remember feeling in those moments watching like those people interact with each other, these high class bullshitters, and then the unsinkable Molly, you know, which was
Molly
played
Brown,
by
Kathy Bates.
Oh my God, Catherine! I love her so much. Kathy Bates is so amazing. Just thinking about how she was so out of her element, and yet she was like, I've never been so disrespected in a like. What? No, I can definitely hang with the best of you, because she was raised different, and so she didn't know the systems. And me being born here on Earth during this time, that's how I feel. I'm like, I don't fucking agree with these systems. I don't like it. I don't think it should be this way. I had a point and I lost it because I went off on a tangent. What were we talking about?
I don't know. What the last thing I said was, when society stopped viewing nature as sacred, it often stopped viewing women as sacred too.
We don't have a fucking place. We're just made for babies and handing over. Like, have a son.
We're made.
Have a son. That was our fucking job.
That was our job for a long time, to have a son. Yeah.
Have a son
and
to pass the line.
The heir, and it had to be male. I mean, how many women died because they didn't have
him?
Because, well, you know, I think, pretty sure Henry VIII at least chopped off one of his head's wives because she didn't give him a son. Anne.
She said one of her head's wives, but one of the wives' heads. Yes.
I think it was Anne. That was an excuse, because she didn't give him a son. She gave him a daughter.
Anne Boleyn?
Anne Boleyn, yeah. That was one of, he wanted to get rid of her.
But what did he do? He accused her of sleeping with her brother.
He did. He accused her of all kinds of shit, but her sin was that she could not produce a male heir for him, and that was unforgivable and worthy of death. And of course, he made up lies so that he could do that. But circling back, modern witchcraft reconnects people to moon phases, seasonal living, herbalism, gardening, earth-based rituals, and cyclical thinking. For many women, that feels deeply healing, because modern life is often disconnected from natural rhythms. And I think that's one of the beautiful things that comes
from a witchcraft practice.
That comes from the practice. And if you want to, like, if you're just starting out and you want to, like, teach me how to be a witch, right? If you want to learn to be a witch, one of the first thing to do is, like, start get connected with nature, because I promise you, because of technology and the rat race and all of our responsibilities and just the way the world functions now, right? The pressures, everything that we have, we are disconnected from what is going on outside of our door and what is happening every day. The grass is growing, the grass is dying, things are blooming, animals are being born. I mean,
there's so many things happening independent of us.
Yeah.
Like, we truly believe we're like, oh, we run the planet and all these simple, like, not us, not witches, not people listening to this. I'm sure you guys are not like that. But this weird human thing, because we live in cities, we're so disconnected from what is actually happening in nature. And that's why I think that this pull back to a witchcraft style lifestyle, did I say that right? Witchcraft style lifestyle? Sure. To having herb gardens, to growing, to moving out into the fucking woods, to disconnecting from everything. I'm seeing the rise of analog type nostalgia. The best way to put it is like, people want to go back to when news was not 24/7. You didn't have your phone in front of you. Things felt slower. You were more intentional with your time. There wasn't a rush to get through things. You just fucking enjoyed yourself, right? Like the 90s summer, that's a trend this year. The 90s summer is about, you didn't have a phone to be on, so you were like outside playing with your kids or having a picnic, or like you went to the swimming pool.
You were doing
there's
stuff.
There's like, it's such a relaxed
the
way
beach,
of being.
the park. I mean, I remember when, this is the 70s, well, late 70s, but when my kids were little, we would walk them to the park like all the time, like every day. It was a thing. We were at the park playing on the swing, and I remember like the leaves changing. This was California, so that didn't happen too much, but there were some trees where you had like actual fall colors.
Maples.
Maple
out there,
trees.
yeah.
I mean, I got some beautiful fall pictures when John was little.
I remember Fresno looking like it had a fall.
Yeah, but like we were out doing things. We were taking walks. We were going to the park. We were taking a drive up to the mountains. We too far from the beach when we lived in Fresno or in the desert, but when I was growing up, the beach was 20 minutes away.
La Jolla?
Like Pacific Beach.
Oh, Pacific
La Jolla
Beach,
was a little further north, but I mean, the coast was only 20 minutes from where I lived when I was a kid.
But there was this return to nature when you got home from your jobs, right? Even for me, when I was raising Cameron, he had to be at school, and I made enough money to where I got to stay home a lot, and my whole goal was like, get him to school. I would go work out or take care of things, like do the chores, whatever. But when he got off school, all I wanted to do was have him out in nature and playing. And I let him be destructive even. Like, there was a time in his life where he goes, Mom, I really want to break this glass. And I was like, thank you for telling me that. I was like, do you want to hear it smash? Like, what is it? He's like, I don't know. What does it look like when it smashes? I was like, cool, let's go to Goodwill real quick. We're going to buy some cheap shit, and I'm going to take you to a place where you can smash stuff and just watch it, and this healthy destruction for him. And we did it like 3 times probably, and he was like, I'm good. He never wanted to do it again. But there was a part of him where he had this like desire to take shit apart, to smash stuff, to kind of like, what does it look like to be destructor? He built a lot of, we built a lot of forts. Every time we went to the beach, we built sandcastles and forts. So he did a lot of building, and there became a point where he was like obsessed with destruction a little bit. I gave him a healthy outlet for that. Probably the last time we did it, he was 6.5, 7 maybe, and I let him do it with a baseball bat, you guys. I was a little scared. But we went in the woods because South Carolina had amazing like parks, woods, everything. All the stuff that we had could be cleaned up if you put it on a tarp. It wasn't a big deal, but to let him smash, and I bought a really old radio, and I let him beat the shit out of it with a baseball bat. And he kept looking at me for approval, and I was like, you're fine. You don't have to worry about that. Like, you can destroy it. You can put your all into it. And what's funny is, like, I let him do that, and then afterwards he goes, I kind of feel bad now. I think somebody probably could have used that radio. I was like, that's okay. You learned something from that. And he's like, yeah, I don't think I want to break stuff anymore. But giving him that healthy outlet of just like to explore his emotions, that's what I think about when we start getting in touch with nature and we start actually looking death in the face. We see that there's a fight for survival out there. We start honoring those systems. We start looking at it as, if you have a garden, you are going to witness death and life at the same time. I can't tell you how many times I cried over a chrysalis that went bad, or a butterfly that was born with terrible wings and wasn't going to make it. And like, you're gonna experience life and death in your own garden. And it's such an affront to your senses, and if you've never really been in it, that like you feel like everything is fucking unfair, and then you switch to gratitude. So you go through this time where you're like, well, we're living in 2015, everything should fucking live, why is everything dying? This shouldn't be a problem. And you want to control it, and you want everything to be perfect. But then you get to a place where you're like, and this is where we balance out life and death. This is where we acknowledge the cycles of life. This is where we say, This is how we become more grateful and present in our daily lives, because we know that it is a gift, that life is a gift.
Also, I just have to share a story, because this was something that happened to me recently. And I thought, wow, I've really, really changed. I found, like, I turned around one day when I was working at my desk, and there was a big ass fucking, I don't know, it was 2 inches, it was this massive, like, beetle type bug something in my house. And I was like, now normally in a past life, I would have got something and smashed him, you know, because I was scared of him, right? But I saw him and I was like, oh, buddy, there's not room in this house for me and you both. So there was a bowl. He was like right at the edge of the bowl. So I was like, okay, so I got something and put it over the bowl to keep him in there, and then took him outside and let him go. And it's like, oh, I can't even explain how it made me feel. I was like, I didn't need to kill anything.
Yeah.
I just,
that's respecting life.
That's
honoring life.
I mean, it was, he has a purpose, right? Whatever that beetle did, he had a purpose. He just didn't have a purpose in my house, and I didn't want him in my house. I was like, there's not room in here for the two of us.
What's he going to eat in here?
So you need to go,
die in here
you
anyways.
need to go outside.
Yeah.
But it was such a beautiful thing, and when I realized what I did, I was like, oh man, I've really, really changed, because normally I would have just been like, where's the fucking fly swatter? Let me kill this motherfucker.
Oh my God. Do you even, number one, now I'm mad at you because you didn't send me a picture of your bug, and you know I love bugs, and I wanted to know what it was.
I'm really disappointed that I didn't do that, because he was pretty gnarly looking. You know, he was pretty, like, he was a bug to be talking.
My mind is flipping through the index of all the bugs now, and you know how much I love all my bugs in my garden. I can pick most of them up because I know what they are. Like, I honor life in my garden because we tried really hard to bring back an ecosystem, and for me, that's living in accordance with my witchcraft laws. Like, what I hold myself morally responsible for is to live in harmony with the natures, with things. And by the way, do you know we've had hummingbirds, 3, I think it's a mom, dad, and baby, living in, like, repeatedly in the yard all day for 2 weeks now?
I know you guys have been trying to bring hummingbirds into your yard for years.
3 years. I've been planting plants, doing things. And they show up, but they leave. But now, consistently for 2 weeks, we've had the 3 hummingbirds in our yard. There was one in the bush when I was driving over here. I was like, oh my God, look at him. And he's out in the daytime. So that means that hummingbirds are really interesting in the way that they flock, the way that they fly, and knowing where food is. So they only have their young around food that they know is reliable, which means they had to have learned that in a couple years previous. They won't just have a baby because they find a good yard one time. They don't do that. You have to be on their fly route. So it's a really special thing to be able to get hummingbirds to nest in your yard, because it means that you are a dependable fly route, and they know that they can find food there for their babies. So I'm fucking honored, and I love it, and my husband and I have been super excited because, yes, my nickname from him has been Hummingbird for a lot of years, but that's only because I have to pee all the time. I have a hummingbird bladder, so it's not as cute as it sounds. But one of our first dates together, he grew up in the nursery business, and we were in California, and we went to one of the places that are famous out there. I can't remember, but we were standing in front of a bush, you guys, like, admiring the flowers, and he's like, he knows all the horticulture shit because he grew up in the business. He was telling me about it, and all of a sudden this hummingbird flew right in front of us, and I'm talking like 6 inches from our face, and we were just like, oh. I was like, oh, I don't want to talk. Oh my God, I'm scared. He was like, no, just don't do anything. And so we stood there like paralyzed, and it was like a 10-minute experience where this hummingbird was just literally right in front of us. And ever since then, hummingbirds have meant a lot to me. And I was like, it was such a good sign, because we were newly dating, and I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. You're 20 years older than me. Like, I don't know. We're great friends, but like dating, I don't know. So the hummingbird is a symbol of started my love with my husband. So yeah, we have 3 hummingbirds in our yard, which I just love.
I love that.
I know, I love it so much.
I know you guys have worked so hard
so many plantings, so much time,
so much
and care.
Like they've been transforming their yard for
4 years now.
4 years,
Yep, 4 years.
All right, moving on to our last point, number 6, cooperation mattered more than domination.
I feel like it's one of the most hard-hitting ones for the difference between men and women. I don't ever find women who want to dominate a room, come and take over, tell everybody what to do, be a fucking asshole. Like, I just don't find this. I've been around a lot of women. Now, there are women who are bitchy, like me. I was very pleased when people called me a bitch, because I was like, yeah, I don't take no shit from nobody. That's not it. There's a difference between when men and women come into power and their expectations of other people, what they think they're in charge of versus what they actually are in charge of, and this audacity that they fucking get. So, in matriarchal systems a long time ago, guess what? Cooperation mattered more than domination, or AKA the individual's fucking opinion of what he thinks he should have. Just saying. This is why men being raised by women is better, in my opinion, even though sometimes psychology reports will tell you that it's not. But that doesn't fit the patriarchy. And that's why I think they publish those papers of like, single moms don't raise, I was going to say men. They don't, single moms have always been pointed out to not be able to raise boys into men. And I've been very fucking offended by that many times that I've read it, because you guys know I have a psych degree. I went through all this shit. I did the research. What it does is single moms raise emotionally intelligent fucking men who don't want to dominate the world and think that being a manly man of some kind with like what, you're a gym rat, or you got a muscle car, or I don't know, whatever men think makes a man.
I don't know.
You belong to a tennis club, like I don't fucking know, whatever they think makes a man.
Many ancient communal societies appear to have prioritized shared responsibility, collective survival, negotiation, reciprocity, and relational harmony.
That's right.
This does not mean they were perfect utopias. Conflict still existed.
They did.
But power was often distributed more or less, was often,
We're going to start that sentence over.
Often more distributed and less rooted in personal conquest, rigid hierarchy, militarism, and accumulation. Did I say that right?
I didn't write that word.
Okay, so, I don't know. I might have
military
mispronounced.
ambitions, maybe, like just that militant mindset.
Yeah, and accumulation. So, like, give me all your shit. Give me all your resources. Hoarding.
I think it being the very first thing that it's personal conquest. Again, people get ideas in their fucking head about what they think they should have. I believe that exists still today.
Yeah.
I've seen it in people where they do have this really selfish outlook, and I never have understood it. And even Cameron, when he was a kid, because he was raised a single child, like with just me, and we were best friends, and we, there was always sharing and kindness and talking, and there was just never conflict within mine and his relationship. When he would get around his fucking cousins, who had several siblings, they would scream and fight over toys. And I remember Cameron's face just sitting there stunned, like, what is happening? Like, why, he's playing with the toy, but you want it. But like, so he used to just go over and try to solve problems by giving people the toy. He's like, here, have my toy. You'll be okay. Have my toy. And he did this with his cousins so much because it made him uncomfortable to watch people fighting over something that didn't need to be fought over. He's like, there's enough toy. Here, have another toy. We'll have this one. Or do this. So he's been solving these problems since he was super little because he's uncomfortable with it. He's just like, there's enough to go around. There's lots of toys.
There's enough to go around.
I don't know why we have to hoard things and be selfish.
There's enough for everybody. The world is rich, and people just, they want to dominate, control, and, hoard things. Remember, patriarchal systems frequently rewarded aggression, competition, control, conquest, emotional suppression, and dominance.
Right, because if you showed emotion, you were weak.
These values became embedded in governments, religion, economics, and family systems. And no surprise, but many women today feel exhausted by systems that constantly demand productivity, hustle, perfection, emotional suppression, and competition.
All the things I wrote about is like how to starve the patriarchy. Let's stop doing all those things. If we stop giving our energy to those things and we come together, that is how we starve out the patriarchy. That is how we start changing the system. Because, we talk about these things, but honestly, you guys, in the back of my head, I'm saying like, all right, if we're going to educate and talk about these things, we also have to give people stuff to do that supports this agenda of ours, of like returning to something that is more matriarchal, or at least that cares about everybody in the community, not putting people out, not a select few get all the wealth and the other people starve and fucking their babies die and they grow up in group homes and everybody's abused and all the fucking shit. Okay? We need to figure out the actual actionable steps that we need to take to starve out a system that makes us a slave to it.
I'm just going to throw out there, I know this is not a political podcast, but I'm going to throw out there that we need more women in positions of power in our government, because that is how I believe that we're going to change things. And you're seeing more women in different fields. Like, we just had a webinar today at work, and the statistic was put out that in the 70s, 5% of women were in the funeral industry. I'm in the funeral industry. That's my job. And so there were women comprised 5% of the funeral industry. And today, 72%. It's 72% women versus 5% from the 70s. So like, this is huge. So and women are nurturing and caring and all those things. But we need more women. We need women to vote. What do you think your vote's going to count or
votes. Not? I would say vote is easier than like...
Or to get involved in their local governments. I mean, the changes start locally. So if you're a young woman and you have any interest at all in what's happening in your community, get on a board, get on a school board, get on a whatever board, start there. Small. That's one of the things that we can do individually, is to try to change things, is to get women into positions of power, so that we can start changing the world and making it more like we want it to be, instead of having all these old white guys fuck everything up for us.
And not just what we want it to be, but what we want it to be for the future generations.
Well, yeah, we want the world back to a point where everyone was cared for.
Everyone matters. Life matters. Every life matters.
We have enough.
Yeah.
There are enough resources to take care of everybody. Mm-hmm. And it's just, the only reason that it's not happening is because of greed and dominance, and people want to, like, if they don't,
personal conquests.
Yeah, or they want, somebody has to be diminished for them to feel like powerful or something.
That is a true statement from psychology, where people will not feel empowered unless they believe that other people don't have the power.
Yeah.
So it's a really weird psychological thing where they need to know that they're so in control that other people don't have the power to stop them, to change things. And so they try to eliminate our abilities to change things so that they have that feeling of power more, which is fucking crazy. Kat just gave her thing for getting into political systems.
Well, yeah.
You said women in power.
I said women in power. I said I believe that more women need to get into positions of power in government and city government. And just all of those things, because I think that's how we start to change.
We have to put our influence into it.
If you look at the women governors, and also millennials are having an impact, like Mondami, the New York mayor, he's having a huge impact in New York. Abigail, the governor of, is it New Jersey or Virginia? She's a newly elected governor. She's making all of these positive changes. I wish I could list off the things that she's done, but when women get into positions of power like that, they start to look at everything as a community and the good for all, and not just the good for the businesses. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say with that, because you're talking political, and you guys, you know what, I can't ever put myself in that place, because it would kill my soul. But what I do is, where I am putting my power, my energy, is I'm actually putting it into the ecosystem. Within Florida, we face so many challenges with developers, with bringing back our pollinators. We have very unique ecosystems here in Florida, and to see things be destroyed by developers because nobody was just there because they didn't know to vote on something that says, no, we should not build a fucking 152 home development next to a bird sanctuary where it's already sort of endangered. So for me, where I push my stuff is I actually go the whole nature route with it, because it is something truly that I can fight for. I'm not worn out by it, and everybody that's involved in that fight, a lot of them are much older, which I appreciate, because I think we get to that place, right? There's always that joke, like, you're 40, what's your favorite bird that you're watching or something? But as you get older, you just start to realize, like, what's really important for the world and what we want for the next generation. And the livelihood of nature for me has always been really important, and bringing back so much in my yard. And I have people literally drive down our street, stop, stare, look, ask me questions. How did you, like, I'm a jungle in a fucking desert of just lawns that do nothing for anything, right? So That's how I use the power that I have, is to go
There's
into
two
that system.
ideas for you, and you may have your own. There may be something that you're passionate about that would be for the betterment of society, the future generations, whatever it is, whatever
I would fight for like women and homelessness and domestic shelters.
Whatever your thing
they're not big here.
Find something. I mean, I know it can be tempting to just withdraw and be like, and just to block it out. Like, I don't want to deal with it. And I get that. And if that's where you are in your life, I respect that. But at some point, I believe that most of us come to this place where we're like, we really do start thinking about the future and like, I'm not going to be here forever. And what can I do?
Impact I want to leave?
What can I do? What can I do? Or you start seeing things where you're like, this is really fucked up, man. I can't believe that this is happening and that's happening in my community. And you get involved. And that's as women for such a long time, we weren't allowed to be involved, and now we have the privilege of doing, the right to do that. And so we should exercise that in any way that we can to make an impact.
That's an empowering thing to do for yourselves, is to find something that you're passionate about and then go for it. When I was in my 20s, I did shelters. I did shelter work for animals. That's what I could do during that time. Especially being in the military, I didn't know that there are a lot of military families that adopt an animal and then leave them on the base when they leave. Like, they have a dog for 2 or 3 years or a cat, and then they just fucking abandon them. The military at that time, this is back in 2003, they were working on creating a law that actually said if you abandon your pet, you are not allowed, number one, you get a charge, and then you are never allowed to own another animal while you are in the service, and that could be 20 years. So they even had to work on like lessening the abuse of animals within that system. It's like, that's fucking crazy. You're provided with allowances to live in a house, to live off base, whatever. So how did you just, oh my God, one of our neighbors in Guam left their dog in their apartment. The base housing was all like duplexes. They left their dog in the house with a bathtub full of water and an open bag of dog food, and they left. They went to another command, right? They transitioned. They believed that the housing people who were in charge of our housing and assigned shit and cleaned and whatever and got it ready for the next couple, they thought they would be there within like a couple days. They thought like at most the dog would be left for a couple days. That dog was left for 3 weeks, so went through the bag of food very fast. The water was done, had pissed and shit all over the place, was emaciated, and the only reason that anybody found it is because it started howling at night and nobody could figure out where it came from, and it was from inside the house. Oh my God. So those people, like, I would chop fingers off for that shit. Like, how inhumane that is to do that. Just God. So back in my 20s, I fought at shelters. I did as much service work as I could for them. In my 30s, that's when I decided it was like all about land preservation. This is about helping nature, which is not fought for enough. Like, everybody sees Florida as vacation land and everybody just wants to build a house here and vacation here. We have millions of houses sitting empty while people live in other places, and there's just this pull on our resources for no fucking reason. Like, the amount of rental houses that have been turned into Airbnbs that sit empty for 9 months out of the year is like, it's fucking crazy. So this is where I put my energy, because it's my community. I need to stay small. I really can't, like, I don't have the energy to go out too far, but find something that is in your community or just really that you're passionate about and dedicate yourself to that a little bit, as much time as you can. Like, and you can dedicate time, some of your resources like extra clothes or furniture, and if you have extra money, you can do $5 a month. I remember when I signed up for Greenpeace because they were really hard to unsubscribe from. So just so you know, I gave to Greenpeace for years and I couldn't figure out how to cancel it. $20 a month, which is great.
I've been trying to figure out, like, how am I going to up my donation that I make to Happy Doggo, who is a guy in Thailand who rescues street dogs. And I was like, I need to up my, so I'm like, I don't even know how to fucking get a hold of it. I don't know where it's from. So, but I've been thinking about that. That's something I'm going to figure out.
When we're talking about these things, this is communal. This is how communities take care of each other because they believe in the things, right?
Yeah.
I've given to the cat clinics. Mm-hmm. So I've had 2 strays that I've taken in to get fixed, and they don't require any donations, or they fix them for free because it's a stray, because it belongs to nobody. But I do a donation anyways. And I'm like, you guys provide a service that is literally helping unwanted animals not produce more unwanted animals. So that's just another thing I do. And so I mean, a couple $100 maybe. Oh, Venice Wildlife. They have an Amazon wish list. So some of your favorite places might have Amazon wish lists. So I just randomly send them shit off Amazon that they have on their list that they say is like high need, high priority. During nesting, what? Did you know that?
I have a bunch of blankets for wildlife.
Oh my God, you need to give it to them. Yes.
Yeah,
towels, blankets, all the things. It's just that because there is so much excess in the world and we are living in like, I've never bought anything from Shein, but I've seen the Shein stuff at Goodwill. Is that how you say it? Shein, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shein. I've seen that, and we've talked, like, there's reports online about all the just
they call it fast fashion.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's just like throwaway.
And it's ending up in these piles in different places, and like it's just destroying shit. So if you have things that you can donate, if you can do, this is all things that I consider witchcraft, right? Repurposing, reusing, recycling, donating, supporting systems, like not being an overconsumer. This is how I think communal ideals work in my life. This is what I do. So
can you still vote though? You still vote?
Fuck yeah! Are you kidding me? I took Cameron to make sure he voted.
It's very important to vote.
Yes.
Please vote.
Okay, it's also very important if you're urging people to vote, do not try to urge them in one way or another because that pressure is not needed.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying please vote.
I wasn't thinking you were. Okay. I'm saying like when I took my kid to vote for the first time this past year.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, he wanted to know who I was voting for, and I was like, listen, voting is a very personal thing. You need to look at a couple of things. Do a quick research. Because that was what I have people who have told me they don't vote because they don't want to figure out what's the right vote, and they don't feel like it makes a difference. And I'm like, and that is why other people keep winning, because the people who could swing it the other way, they're like, I don't think I really make a difference. I don't, this isn't for me. I don't even want to get in politics. I don't like it.
Excuse me. So in Miami, we got a Democratic mayor for the first time in 30 years. And do you know that he won by like 5 fucking votes?
No, I have no idea.
5 votes.
I don't get into following the things, but
that's my job.
That's the one right here. I do enough research to say I know what values that I want to stand up for, and you have to weigh, like my husband and I always say, because we don't talk about who we vote for either. Whatever. He doesn't ask me. We don't talk about it. But we look at what we always say to each other is you're voting for the lesser evil because nobody's fucking perfect, right? Like you're not going to have a candidate that literally has everything.
I thought we were almost done, but we still have a long way to go.
No. I think we ended at the 6 points. We don't have to go through all the other stuff if you don't want to.
All right.
It's almost like there was enough stuff in this, you guys, where we could have gone for probably 3 hours. But we are right now at probably an hour 30.
Maybe.
I think we're good.
Okay.
I think we're good. All right. But I do like the ending that you wrote. I know we got off on a whole tangent of other shit.
We really did. Sorry about that.
It's coming back to community.
If you've been here for a while, you know how this works.
We're coming back to community. I want you guys to find things. Yes, I have homework. It's been a long time since I said you have homework. I want you to find things that you care passionately about, deeply about, and I want you to stand up for those things. That is how you take your personal practice, your belief, your autonomy as a woman, and you move it into something that's societal, that actually creates change, where you band together with other women believing in the same thing, because you'll find them there. They'll be there. We're in every category, no matter what side. We're in every category. And you use that. You use your autonomy because we have it now. And the only way that we're going to start shifting things is if we actually go out, we speak up, we present ourselves in places, we band together. If you don't want to do it alone, call a friend, phone a friend. Please get somebody with you that's like, I don't need you to agree with me. We don't got to talk about shit, but just go with me so I don't feel alone. Because that's something that I definitely understand, is being alone in a place where you feel like you're not equipped to. That's a real thing. And as women, we don't feel safe in places like that. You're worried about what's going to happen. So take a friend with you. Even if it's a male escort. Even if it's a male friend that you can take with you to do the things, ask somebody for that. It is within your power, within your right, within your privilege to do that. To get out there and make your stance known, whatever that is.
Okay, I'm going to circle us back to try to get us back on track, because we did get off on a little tangent. So I want to remind you, the last thing that I said was that women feel exhausted by the systems that constantly demand productivity, hustle, all these things. Mm-hmm. The feminine isn't weak because it values cooperation. Cooperation is actually one of humanity's greatest survival tools.
It is. It's how we all survive.
This also explains why many women entering spiritual practices begin with craving, slower living, intentional community, ritual, rest, creativity, and emotional authenticity.
Yeah.
You are not lazy or soft. You are trying to reconnect with ways of living humans practiced long before modern systems of domination took over. Matriarchal societies were not female-dominated, mirror versions of patriarchy. They were more balanced, communal, and earth-centered societies.
Yes.
The important distinction: patriarchal cultures equal domination, hierarchy. Matriarchal cultures equal relational hierarchy and community-centered systems. That's a huge difference.
It is, because it's like there's the individual, which is patriarchy, and then there's the community, which is matriarchy.
Yeah. I mean, that description is, it tells you everything.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Okay, so is that where we're going to end then?
We are then going to, Kat wrote this amazing ending. Okay, so we've discussed in length that when you are in a matriarchal system, you're more reconnected with nature, and nature reconnects us to ourselves. So this is where we can actually reflect. This is why witchcraft is so big, and why I think a lot of witches want more of a matriarchal system, because it feels more natural for us to be in that place. We're both worried about Tank. We hear him coughing. I don't know if you can hear him coughing on the couch.
My
but
dog
he's
has something stuck in his throat.
He's like, he sounds like a cat getting ready to do a hairball. I'm so sorry if you can hear it. But we're both distracted by the dog coughing on the couch right now.
Go ahead, sorry.
Humans are not separate from nature. And the more that we try to pretend like we are, the further away we're going to get from recognizing our own selves. That is what witchcraft and nature and living in a matriarchal system really means for me. We're not separate from it. The modern cultures keep us indoors, overstimulated, and disconnected from Earth. And then they detach us from the natural rhythms, right? Even working fucking night jobs where you don't see the sun and your whole circadian rhythm gets fucked up. Like, we need that. Sleep actually heals our bodies. So we're going to go from this overstimulated... Now I have a fucking tickle in my throat. What's in the air? we need to go from this overstimulated, overworked, overproducing society where we reconnect with nature and we listen to the systems and we're allowed to rest. Because as we know, rest is not rewarded in our culture, in American culture at least. Hustle is fucking rewarded. Sleeping 4 hours a fucking day is rewarded.
Yeah.
And seeing how tough you are, how long you can go without sleep or food, or like the self-deprivation that people do in order to prove how fucking badass they are. It's exhausting. And people trying to keep up with it, it's like, oh God. So people consistently report feeling calmer, clearer, and more grounded when they walk in nature, when they're in forests, when they're in gardens, when they watch the moon, if they sit near water. It's literally healing. It's why old people move to Florida. Working with herbs and observing the seasonal changes. Observing is the key word. We're not looking at our phones. We're literally watching nature. We feel better as a species when we are doing that, when we are literally in nature, grounding, clearing, cleansing, seeing more, just witnessing what we're a part of. And I think this happens when we're older because we have the space and time to do it. So if you're young and listening to this, you're not behind. You're just struggling through the same shit we all went through, and I'm so sorry. We're gonna keep trying to make it better for you, and you got to be part of the solution too. The system of nature literally regulates our own nervous system. Just so you guys know, there's a ton of science behind, like, when trees sense humans, they actually emit something that tells other trees to wake up, to create more oxygen, because we make their food and they make the breath of us. You guys know that, right? Like, trees make the oxygen that we breathe, and we make CO2, carbon dioxide, whatever that they fucking want. So we're a system together, and people forget that so much. So to breathe the fresh air of trees where it's just like you and them.
And you know this because they're fucking tearing down all the forests and all the trees and shit.
Right? No wonder we're sick all the time. Okay. When I think of witchcraft, and when they came out with the word green witchcraft, I was like, oh, I get that. Yeah, like the ones that are just more nature-based and not all like, I want to hex my boyfriend or something, right? There's lots of different types of witchcraft. But one of the reasons why the green witchcraft side, right, when you get into all of the herbs and it's cute and it's pretty and there's just like, you're so in Practical Magic movie at that time, it resonates with us so strongly right now because there is such a disconnect and such a destruction of our natural resources, of the things around us. Everybody should have a fucking tree in their yard. Everybody should be able to have an herb garden. It is literally not cool anymore. Well, I think it's coming back to garden. We used to have victory gardens, and now it's like, if you garden, you're poor, and what's wrong with you? You got to grow your own food. Oh, honey. Again, power, control, like greed, access to things. It's fucking ridiculous. If nature is able to connect us with spirituality and the physical world, instead of separating the sacred from everyday life, why is everybody not practicing witchcraft? That's what they all need. Then they keep turning to the fucking Bible and churches and big things, and like, yeah, I don't usually Christian bash, but it's just, your religion is built on a patriarchy because it has rules, because it keeps people diminished and small. It is not about living your best life. It is not about connecting with nature. It's about how many more people you can influence to become part of the system that gives 10% of their wealth to the church, so they can keep making more systems and going to more lands and preaching more things about how everybody should be devoted to this one thing. That's not community at all. That's manipulation. So in my mind, religion is part of the problem. And religion that has rules is part of the problem. If you're not afforded autonomy, what are we doing? You know? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have the powerful closing.
All right. So thank you for being with us. In closing, I have this to say. Maybe the goal isn't returning to some perfect ancient matriarchy. Maybe the goal is remembering what humanity lost when we disconnected from the feminine and learning how to restore balance again.
Balance.
We will leave you with that. Yeah, this is all about balance.
It is.
We're out. We've been out of balance for quite some time. So let's work toward that.
We're here to realign and balance.
Yep.
Work your magic, witches.
All right, witches. We love you. Bye.
Bye.